Hey everybody, so I'm continuing my playlist on fallacies and flawed logic. I want to talk about the Texas Sharpshooter fallacy, although I just prefer to call it the Sharpshooter fallacy because I'm from Texas and generally I don't want to badmouth, my state of Texas. But what the Sharpshooter fallacy is, the name comes from the idea that if a guy from Texas wants to prove that he's a really good shot, so he pulls out his gun and shoots up the side of his barn, with several shots, right? And then he goes up to the side of the barn, and then around the bullet holes, he paints individual targets and paints the bullseye around the bullet hole so that it looks like every single shot he made was a bullseye, right? When in fact, he's a really bad shot. And he's just presenting the evidence and the argument around his accuracy issue to prove it.
Liar!
So we all know somebody, they play hard and fast with things like facts, and they justify it sort of like after the fact, right? So, give you an example. This was a fun one. There's a movie we saw a long time ago called SWAT with Samuel L. Jackson. And in the movie SWAT, there's a scene where one of the vehicles gets shot in the radiator, right? And the second it gets hit in the radiator, all the steam flies out, and the vehicle shuts down. And I made the statement, it's like, oh, there's no way that would ever happen. Just to add some context, this was back in college when I drove a really, really old, struggling Chevrolet Cavalier with a leaking radiator. So I knew a thing or two about radiators and cars running without radiators and overheating because I drove one every day. No, that totally happens because the radiator loses all the pressure. I'm like, yeah, but that's not at all what makes a vehicle run. Went out, the engine's going to keep, it's not going to die because the radiator went out. The engine's going to keep running until it overheats and seizes up and shuts down. Individual cases as to how and why he thought an engine would immediately shut down upon the radiator being shot with a high-powered rifle. Yes, right? Unless you have like a moment where based around anything like that, it was all arguments around the radiator. And anybody who knows anything about mechanics, no, vehicle in motion is not just going to be like, oh my god, the radiator, I must kill the engine, right? Because that's a huge safety issue. No, a warning light would come up, right? Beep! When you're dealing with somebody who really doesn't know what they're talking about, but then they just keep trying to supply evidence and trying to get you to believe something, that is they're trying to sharpshoot their argument. So that's the Texas Sharpshooter. I prefer that we name it after a state where people generally don't know how to shoot, but I don't know what state that could be. California? I don't know. Whatever, that's the Texas Sharpshooter. Thank you very much. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video. Pew, pew, pew. Bye-bye.